It does.
Welcome to the ARW Discussion, folks. Today, we're going to start off talking about preventive maintenance. And I've worked in several evil polluting chemical plants and evil polluting refineries. And one thing they got is a lot of pumps. You know, they got hundreds of pumps. So, and they've got two different philosophies of maintenance. Some places just run to destruction, you know. Other places, they do preventive maintenance. Knowing us guys that are doing this as a hobby, well, I imagine we probably would want to do preventive maintenance because running it to destruction is going to get expensive to me, it seems like. So also we have John here from Tinker John. He's another Texas boy. He's down here in the right-hand corner, or at least he's in my right-hand corner. And he's our guest for today. So you guys be nice to him.
Hi, John.
How you go, everybody?
John is actually responsible for me even getting started watching YouTube.
Oh, is that right?
I have an engine kit, a Stewart model steam engine kit. It was a V10.
Yeah, I actually have one of them right over here somewhere. I don't know if you can see it.
Well,
yeah,
they had lost the directions for it. And so I started looking for YouTube videos on building one, and John's channel is the one that came up. And I went through all of his videos, and right around the time that I finished up, I was cleaning the shop, and I found the plans for it. And in the meantime, I went out, there was a book published by I forget who it was, but there was a soft cover book that I bought for it. And so someday I might even finish it.
Oh, they're good little projects. I've actually built 3 of those things. And the one I had a while ago in my hand, this is actually the one that was in the series that I was building. Well, there it is in the screen. That's the one I built on. I wasn't sure I'd ever get through with that series.
Well, it helped me out to get started anyway. I never finished it, but at least I started it.
Well, at least that's a good thing.
We got Michelle watching.
I started one time, one of Mr. Pete's water engines. Yeah. And I got a tap in it, and I was moving my hand past it. My fingers touched the end of the tap handle and popped off, and I couldn't get it out of there. And I quit right there. That was the end of my engine making.
Oh, man.
I hate tiny little parts. You know, you can't do anything with them. So
that's all I work on. The smaller, the better.
Yeah.
I capsize this down to 00.
Well, I use my magnifying glass.
Yeah.
I needed an Allen wrench this morning for some small set screws, some 172 set screws, and I couldn't just go out and buy it on a Sunday. McMaster Carr had them, so I ended up. I don't know if you guys saw me over on Instagram, but I actually made this. It's in a pin vise right now, but I made it out of an 040 drill bit, and actually this pin vise fits in the Spindex really well. And I took it over to the surface grinder and put a hex on it, and it's an 030 hex.
Wow. Okay.
On the end of a drill bit, and it works great. It's got nice control. I'd rather have this than the L-shaped ones. So, and
what are the set screws for?
What's that?
What are the set screws for?
They go in the ends of. Well, you probably can't see any of this. I'm prototyping for American Rotary right now. The end of this tube has a plug in it. There's an Inconel set screw that goes inside this Inconel tube. And you just put the Allen wrench in there.
Okay.
And you unscrew it. There's the screw right there. I don't know. There's no way you're gonna be able to see that.
So I'm assuming you had to drill and tap that as well, Stan.
Yeah. It's Inconel. I had to tap the end of the drill and tap the end of the tubing, and then it's got some cross holes there for the. They're the new argon kits for American Rotary.
Okay.
Nice.
For their ovens, and that's a 1/8 inch Inconel injector tube. So yeah, I needed an Allen wrench. I thought I might have one, but I just didn't. So I ended up making an Allen wrench this morning. So that was my tiny work for this morning. I was working under the microscope for a little while, which is nice. I set it for about 8x and sit here and work on the bench, and you can see everything. And that, I don't care how nice you think something is, that microscope will make it look like hell.
Well, Stan, since you got the floor, tell us about preventive maintenance that you do.
Well, if it, you either plan your preventive maintenance or your machines will plan it for you. I just normal stuff around here, and I just do it as I go. When I'm putting things away, I try to pickle them. My best friend is shrink wrap, just a little hand shrink wrap. I will oil it like a collet. If I'm going to put it away and I think it's going to be, I'm not going to put my hands on it for at least a month, I'll spray it with Power Lube, CRC Power Lube, and I'll wrap it in shrink wrap, and I'll put it on the shelf or whatever. It won't collect dust. And when I take it out of the wrapper, it's still oily and hasn't rusted. And, you know, so just prevent it from happening in the first place. Otherwise, you pull it off the shelf, it's all rusty. You got to take it over to the sink, scuff it down with Scotch-Brite, clean it, try to get it ready to work. If you pull it off the shelf, rip it out of the shrink wrap, and it's ready to go. I oil everything down around here. Just the tabletops, the way covers, all the ways under the way covers, peel them back, make sure they stay clean. Bridgeports are a top-down oiler, so they're an oil to waste system. Keep it flooded with oil. Keep an eye on the oil that's coming out of it. You're flushing out the bearings. Spindle oil is very cleansing. You can actually put it on your hands if your hands are greasy or oily. You can put it on your hands, and it'll actually clean your hands. You follow it up with a little bit of soap, and your hands are perfectly clean. But it does have a lot of cleansing properties. So make sure the oil that's coming off your bearings is clean. If it's not washing through clean, you're not oiling it enough. As far as the spindle goes. So if it's not leaking, it's not oiled enough.
Yeah.
And belt tension, don't over tighten. People say, well, my belts are slipping, so they tighten them like a banjo string. The trouble is, what you have to understand about V-belts, they don't wear on the bottom, they wear on the sides. And as they wear thin. And whenever they touch the root of that shiv or pulley, whenever they touch the root of that shiv, they're done. They have to ride on the sides, not on the bottom.
Yep, I agree with that. Absolutely.
Yep.
We used to always say that, like on a fan, when you start it up, you should get a little bit of squeal. And if you don't get that squeal, on a light fan, it's not going to do it, but on a large fan, you want a little bit of slip on startup, or you've got them too tight.
Yeah, that's why the modern VFDs are so nice. You can ramp them up and eliminate that belt slip. But there's still a lot of guys that are running motor starters and contactors, and they hit so hard, and that thing just tries to make maximum horsepower right out of the gate. And they might have a big, 30, 40 pound flywheel type fan. You just can't spool those things up. That takes a while to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in the old days, they used to, just add another belt, and you end up with a big old stack of belts on there and pulleys that cost $300. Just keep adding belts to it. That'll stop it from slipping.
I used to work on this one particular site. It had it was a 125 horsepower fan, and it was overdriven. It ran about, I have to guess, probably close to 3,000 RPM.
Fan speed?
Yes, it was high pressure. It actually generated 2 pounds of pressure. It was for a solvent abatement system.
Wow, that's pretty substantial. I mean, that fan could do some damage too.
It did. So what happened? The bearings got rough on it, and nobody was keeping an eye on it, and the wheel let loose, and it went through the floor that it was on. It was up on a platform. It bent the flange on a 16-inch I-beam, bent one of the flanges, hit the concrete down below in a loading dock. Then it went about another 200 feet lodged in a fence and caught the fence on fire.
Wow.
Yeah, and luckily nobody was around when it happened.
Wow, that is a substantial fan. We work with some that go to 8-inch water column, which is a lot, for me. The big vane axle direct drive fans, and we had one up at I'm going to date myself here. This is the old Garrett Aviation up in Santa Barbara, and we had one on a hood inside of an enclosed room. The room had air makeup and a louver, or like a motorized damper, coming into the room for air makeup. Well, they weren't done with the louver. The louver was not wired up yet, and the general contractor on the job thought it'd be a good idea to start the fan with all the doors closed. And it 8 inches of water column imploded that room and ruined all the drywall in that room. It pulled the walls of the room in.
Yeah,
and cracked all the drywall. The room was already painted and done and nice, and it just imploded that room.
Yeah. I caved in a hallway once in a building. It was an air shaft, and it was part of the hallway.
Yeah.
You look down the hallway and see a bow going in about 4 inches.
Well, it always surprises you. It always surprises you just how bad things can, I don't know, spiral out of control. You never think that exactly that thing is going to happen. I guess that's why, we have safety measures that we never observe. But then when something does happen, you're like so amazed at how much it spirals. Just some of it goes here, some of it goes there. You see the effects in a lot of places sometimes. I mean, from one little place that you were working on, you thought, oh, if something goes bad, it's going to go right here. No, man, it goes everywhere.
We did a surfboard shop up in Oxnard. Yeah, this guy just he kept adding units out to the shop in the back, he just add a unit. He was growing. He just kept adding these little hoods and stuff for shaping the surfboards and doing fiberglass layup and stuff like that. And he said, "Oh, I think it's great." He goes, "I open my office door and open the door to the shop, and it creates a nice breeze through my office. I love it." And then the first cold winter day, he calls me up on the phone. He goes, "Hey, my ceiling tiles are coming down in my office. The light fixtures are bowing down, and the T-bars falling down inside the office because the whole building's running so negative." And he couldn't understand why.
Yeah.
I went outside the control room in the refinery one day. There was a brand new vacuum truck sitting out there. The guy forgot to open the relief vent on it. He's cranked up his pump and just sucked in the sides of it.
Oh man!
And it was a brand new truck. Probably never had anything in it.
Yeah, there's all kinds of secondary effects to things. I mean, the things that you wouldn't even think of. I've personally seen bad transportation is what it was. It was a guy was transporting onion in a closed trailer, in a closed semi-truck trailer. You don't do that. It blew up. You transport onion in open trailers. This guy just, it really, there's no fire, but the explosion will kill anybody that's right there. There's so much gas.
The onions are outgassing, or?
Yeah.
Wow.
As soon as they start getting a little bit of temperature, the acidity in them, it makes what I think is steam, but it really is waterless steam of somehow. It just makes such pressure that this thing just blew up. I had seen and heard stories of it, but then one time I'm driving down the road and this thing just, it flew apart. There's nothing left. There was the platform left, and the explosion was such that the trailer picked up like this. The top and the sides and front and back, it just blew everywhere. But the actual flatbed part, it picked up and keeled over. I don't know how, but I don't know if maybe it created suction or something like a mushroom effect. I'm thinking that's maybe what it was, but it was pretty bad. It was scary. I'll tell you what.
That's pretty violent. Yeah.
You find little quirks like that in practically every product. It's like the flour mill. They blow those places up every once in a while from a spark. All that dust is really very, explosive. How about you, Ray? What do you do about preventive maintenance?
Well, my backyard's surrounded by fields. So my preventive maintenance before I ever use any machine is covered in the dust here. It's a desert basically. So it's like sand, and it's on your ways. It's on everything if it's not covered. And for some reason, even if you cover something, you still get dust under that cover. So my preventive maintenance is basically wipe down all the ways, re-oil with way oil before I even turn a machine on. So my big problem is dust, and it's very corrosive dust, because if I run a carriage over this dust, it's just like, grinding compound basically. So even if I use like my dual bandsaw, I mean, I can clean that one day. The next day, you can rub your hand across it and have a handful of dust. So my preventive maintenance is basically wipe down and oil before I use anything. And I have to agree with Stan. If you don't do any preventive maintenance, you're going to get reminded real quick, and it's not going to be in a good way.
Yeah, I've been reminded before.
Yeah. Keep your oil cups oiled, and Stan is right about that spindle oil. That is some good stuff, man.
Who? How about you, Chuck?
Yeah, my maintenance basically is some prep to the machines, checking oil and stuff. Actually, real quick, does everybody hear feedback?
Yeah, I hear somebody's got
Somebody's got something on.
speaker or something on in the background.
I got a fan on. Let me mute myself for a second.
We'll try that. But anyway, I don't hear any feedback. Okay. Actually, I think it's you, Stan. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's kind of maintenance. I did a honeydew list, and I was the honeydew writing the list. So I ended up, I wrote myself down, and some of it was on Instagram. Still getting feedback from somebody. I made the cap for my sander, a 6x42 sander, made the top cap. For my 2x42 sander, I made a catch box for it. I mounted an anvil on my welding table. I ended up the throat on my bandsaw, my Powermatic bandsaw. I made a new throat piece for that, so it's nice and tight to the blade. And then right now, just before this, I was resetting up and positioning a vacuum behind my mill. So just a lot of honeydew stuff. It's all maintenance in a sense, and I keep walking by my surface grinder, which is a mess, and I keep looking at it going, I don't want to get down on my hands and knees and get behind that thing. I can't do it, so not yet. You're muted, Ray.
Surface grinders are
I
nasty.
said, which one, Chuck? You have like 3 of them.
The Grissetti.
How many surface grinders you got now, Chuck?
Just 2.
Oh, is that all?
That's all.
Okay, I exaggerated with one.
Yeah, you overdid it there. Just the two.
And he talked me out of getting one.
Yeah.
So he could get it. Did you tell him where you were going to buy it? And he got it from?
No.
He beat
They
you on the
are
other-
nice to have. They really are nice to have.
Okay, let's try John.
Well, I'm in a little different position, probably because I'm only a hobby machinist, self-taught. So my shop is relatively small. But what I have found out is the shop vac is really my best friend. I just find out that keeping the shop as clean as possible, and when I get through, and actually several times during the day, if I'm out here in the shop for quite a long time, I'll use that shop vac, and the shop vac allows me to do several things. First, it allows me just to do a real quick inspection. If anything is wrong, I can fix it then. And of course, when you hobby machine and mostly something's loose or just needs tightened up, it's not necessarily worn out. But as like I said a while ago, oil is a friend, and I just keep everything oiled up and inspect it and make sure everything's good and tight. And I just use that shop vac throughout the day, and not only is it kind of a personal accomplishment that you've done something, it's just a lot better work, because I've worked for years in garages and one side of a car garage or And I grew up on a farm where we had to do our own work, and it was out sometimes in the middle of a cotton field. It's just nice to have something that's clean for a change. I think that cleanliness goes for, in my position, from a hobby standpoint, about as much as anything to prevent things.
Okay, so now let's see who's next on my list there. Memo, did I ask you? I got him muted.
There you go. There it is. No, I hadn't gone yet. I think preventive maintenance is kind of a discipline thing mostly. You know, you just keep up with anything. I mean, heck, even cleaning can be considered a preventive maintenance. Mostly I just make sure my tools are clean. I don't have machinery like you guys do. Just mostly upkeep. You take, for example, even drill bit sharpening can be considered preventive maintenance, because when you're working and you go for that drill bit and it doesn't work, you know, you're like, oh, great, I have great drill bits, but they're, you know, I damaged one on the last run, or they're not sharp anymore. So as far as preventive maintenance right now, for me, it's just keeping my tools organized, keeping them clean, keeping my bits sharp, that kind of thing, making sure I don't have unusable cells in my batteries, that kind of thing. But like I said, it's mostly because I don't have machinery that I don't have the upkeep that you guys have right now. When I did work in an environment where it was needed was when I was doing quality control. I mean, I worked in so many departments, and you always had to remind the guys in production about the maintenance, not just in their particular area. It just affects everything in production, you know. But most production lines, they don't believe in maintenance. It's a hindrance to them. Well, you're taking up their time. I mean, and it involves really a supervisor being on it too. You know, because a supervisor will not tell an employee that's on a production run or on a production table to take time out for maintenance. Usually it's when it goes bad, and then, you know, maintenance went out the door. Now it's repair, like one of you guys said. You know, it's dead. Now you got to replace it.
That's the run to destruction method of preventive maintenance.
There you go. That's
Hey, Harold, I just wanted to make a comment to John about the vacuum. Recently, working at my mill, sitting there and repetitively needing to vacuum, I put my vacuum on a foot pedal, left the vacuum on, and just operated off and on with the foot pedal. It was sweet. Just do some machining, zzz, hit the machining, zzz, it worked fantastic.
I like that idea. I may look into that.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, they're cheap, right? Foot pedals are cheap now for something that's low voltage.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm gonna look into that.
Great.
Okay, how about Mr. Steven over there?
I live about 3 miles from the Atlantic Ocean, and I'm about a half a mile from the Shark River, hence the name Shark River Machine, and that's actually a tidal bay. So we have a pretty high humidity, and you can actually, the salt is in the air. So I have a rust problem all the time. It's not terrible because my shop is fairly dry, but I have to keep everything covered. I go through a lot of whale oil. You know, I buy whale oil by the gallon, and I use a lot of whale oil. I keep everything wiped down, and that's the biggest thing. But the biggest maintenance machine that I have is my grinder, the surface grinder. And anybody that knows me, knows my channel, know that I grind the precision stones, and they create a lot of waste material. And so when I go out in the shop to do a job like that, I turn the spindle on and I run it to warm it up the whole time I'm setting up for everything else. And I don't have any kind of an automatic oiler. It's just a lost oil system. And I pump a half a squirt of oil in every oil chamber. And I actually have to keep that pig mat around the base of the grinder because there's so much oil just dropping out of it, and I change that out every couple of weeks. But the big thing is the residue from the grinding, and I every once in a while go through that with a putty knife and have to scrape it all out. Use the vacuum cleaner, and that's the biggest thing. But when I had my automotive machine shop, that was a different issue. Our surface grinders there had 18-inch wheels on them. It was more like a Blanchard type grinder that we used. And those things took a lot of maintenance. They took probably close to 50 gallons of coolant, water-based coolant. And so every, 3 or 4 months, we'd have to drain them out, clean them. And there was a lot of maintenance involved with that. And Stan, you were talking about the spindle oil being a good cleaner. The sun and honing oil that we used in our honing machine, if you ever needed to clean your hands good, you just did a honing job. Man, that stuff cleaned your hands like crazy.
Real nice, huh? Well, I've already figured out that Boyer Schultz is German for leaks oil. So I use a lot of pig mats around both of the Boyers. Mm-hmm. And the one with the hydraulic, it's leaking because it's oil to waste, just like yours. So yeah. It's leaking whey oil and hydraulic oil.
Okay.
So I got to take that machine apart and reseal. I got a bunch of work to do to the automatic.
Well, I just got a new hydraulic crane. I had one in my shop for years, and I sold it. And it was one of those things that as soon as I sold it, I said, you shouldn't have done that. So I just went out and bought another one. And now that I've got that, I can, by myself, I can take the surface grinder apart, take the
what grinder do you have?
What's that?
What brand is that?
I have a Sanford.
With no sun. Just Sanford by himself, no sun?
No sun.
No sun. Okay, just checking.
No sun, just grinding, no comedic relief. Just grinding.
But the table is too heavy for me to handle anymore. There was probably a day that I could have handled it, but not anymore. So now that I've got the crane, I can lift the table off of it to do some more maintenance. But probably the surface grinder is, as Chuck said, requires the most maintenance of any machine in the shop.
Yeah, me and Keith Rucker pulled the table off of my 618 when he was out here for the bash, and I have the chrome plated waves. They're like in strips,
right?
They're glued down, and one of them's delaminating and starting to lift up, and it's getting a bunch of crud behind it. So the table over on the hard right is actually lifting over there. So the table and the saddle need to go into a scraping place. I don't scrape, but I've got a good guy that does it.
Yeah.
I have no interest in scraping. It's fascinating to watch, but I'm not going to do it.
Did you get the spindle fixed?
No.
No?
Motor's going into the motor rewind, spindle's going into the spindle shop, and the table's going down to Anaheim to get rescraped. That machine needs a lot of work. The automatic's down right now.
Okay. That's the one you put all the stepper motors on and so on?
Yep.
Okay.
And as soon as the saddle comes off, I can access all the hydraulics. So while the spindle's in one place, the motor's in another place, and the saddle's in another place, while all three of those things are getting done, I can reseal the hydraulics so it's ready to go together when it comes back.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay, Dave, you thought up this preventive maintenance question. Tell us what you do.
No, I just popped in because you got a full house, and then I'm going to bow out. I just wanted to show this. I've been using this stuff for years. It's from Harbor Freight. Come on, get it over there. It's from Harbor Freight. The lathe bed, cross slides, everything. All of a sudden, there's spots on it, and it's dirty, and you can't get the spots out. You put this on there and rub it around for a few seconds with an acid brush, and boom, This stuff is filthy dirty, and then you wipe it down, and you got a nice, shiny, clean surface. I don't know how
Are you talking
how
about
I got
cast iron
into it.
staining?
What?
Cast iron staining? It gets rid of the stains?
Not I use it on just the lathe and the mill bed and stuff. But yeah,
Right, but
I'll get
if
marks.
if you have a dark spot in the cast iron, it removes it?
Yeah, it
Oh,
does a
darn.
pretty darn good job.
What
I
is
don't
it?
know how I got turned on to it, but yeah, it's the Harbor Freight. It just says what Central Pneumatic. It's for their air tools.
It's their air tool oil, huh?
Yeah,
Hmm.
and like I said, it's other lubricants or something drop on the compound, stains the heck out of it. I rub this around and it's gone. It's cool.
Well, I'll try some of that.
Yeah, it's dirt cheap. I think I needed some oil and I didn't have any oil, and I grabbed that out of the rollaway and started using it. It's like, holy shit. No, I just wanted to drop in and say that. But yeah, I'm always doing maintenance. I'm just real nuts. I can't handle a dirty machine, which is stupid. I know a lot of you guys have the big machines, lathes and stuff, so you can let the chips get knee high before you're in your way. Chips get a finger high for me. They're in my way. I can't do work. So I'm always, every machine, when I'm done with it, I'll completely clean it down and check all the adjustments, everything like that. All right, guys.
Thanks,
All right.
Dave.
Well, that was short and sweet. How about you, Dean?
Well, probably the toughest thing for me to keep up with and remember to do is all the water drains on the air compressor and the pneumatic lines. I've got 4 spots on my compressor. I got two drains on the tank. It's a pretty long tank, and mine's a duplex compressor, and each pump has its own little receiver box, that then goes to the tank, and there's a drain on each one of them. Plus, I got 3 spots, on the airlines inside, and I always know that I got to do it, but there's always something I'm doing. I'm in a hurry, and it's just really tough to get around to doing that. Yeah, so that, and then the other thing is, like on the Bridgeport, mine has got the old Zerk type fittings. I don't have a single point, and I've got one of those. It looks like a big hypodermic needle job. It's like a pump, and it's a pain trying to get it underneath, and it doesn't pump uphill, and half my fittings are uphill. So that's something that I need to work on, and I've seen some guys actually convert a regular grease gun over for oil. I know you can buy them from McMaster-Carr, but they're like $120 for an oil type grease gun.
Well,
and then also I'm sure it's happened to everybody. I've had an issue where I've had a lot of stringy chips in the chip pan on the lathe right under the chuck, and you'll be making a cut, and a long chip will grab one of them rat's nest of chips and just pull it right up into the chuck. That's pretty dangerous. Definitely going to keep up with that.
Yeah, that's why I mostly use, one of the reasons I use aluminum so much is it's soft and easy to cut, and you don't get cut by the chips very much.
Yeah.
And it's great for milling too. You don't get those little needles that go all over your fingers. Do you guys have any good cordless drills? Every time I go to pick one up, the battery's dead or almost dead.
I use the Milwaukee line, not because of. I started because of the versatility of what they got, and I started with the M18 line, which is the larger size ones. But mostly in the automotive stuff that I do, I use mostly the M12 stuff because of how easily they're smaller. They get into everything. And I mean, I think I'm going to do a review on those because you should see the tiny, let me see if I can get in camera, the tiny hacksaw that they have for the M12 line. And you could put the regular Sawzall blades on, and you could use the bigger blades, whatever. I use it to cut parts off of chassis structures on cars when we need to remove a certain piece of the suspension mounts to put the new ones in. So as far as I am concerned, the Milwaukee line is pretty good. As with everything, some people have preference, but I've not had a problem with them. I mean, I buy warranty for all of them anyway, but the Milwaukee line is good because of how much stuff they got. They got just about everything. They got, I'm thinking of buying the heat gun, a wire, cordless heat gun. They got a soldering iron. They got fans. I use this little fan that I take everywhere, and I can put it inside cars. And it's a hybrid. You could plug it in, or you could use the batteries. I think the important thing, Harold, is picking a battery platform and sticking with it, because that's where the money is at. Is the batteries. The drill. You can get a drill for less than you can get a battery.
Yeah, I bought an electric lawnmower here recently, and I'm kind of nervous about it. It's one of those cordless jobs. I've had gasoline for forever, and I thought, well, I'll try one. But I don't know if it's going to be good enough to handle the grass around here. All right, I use Milwaukee drills myself, and I've got an extra battery. But it seems like every time I go to use a drill, I pick the thing up and I use it for about a minute and a half, and the battery's dead. Then I got to go swap them out. It's maybe I'm just too careless about the recharging. I had the same thing with DeWalt, whatever.
Well, no battery likes to sit discharged. You need to keep them topped off. When you go to store your drill and your battery, just leave it on the charger.
Yep. I always cycle them on the charger through the charger, even if I know they're charged and then I haven't used them for a day or two, I cycle through all the batteries again.
Yeah, I'm on the Milwaukee campaign too. As much as I hate those guys, they've got the best selection of tools out there,
and they're always researching it.
The M18 line is always expanding. I buy the tool only specialty tools, sheet metal shear guns and angle drills and all. I got the big impacts, spindle drive impacts, the Milwaukee Fuel Surge. The hydraulic drive is really smooth in your hand. If you're using a 3/8 impact all day, your hand is just pins and needles by the end of the day. Yeah. But that Surge really cuts a lot of that out. And I am not affiliated with Milwaukee in any way, and I don't think we're going to see them sponsor my channel anytime soon. I threw them under the bus a few times. I was so pissed off at their Sawzalls. I took a couple of them apart on my channel. I blew up 3 Sawzalls in 1 month.
Whoa!
I was upset.
The cordless or the
cordless M18. They're top of the line, not consumer, because they've got a consumer grade. The stuff you see at Home Depot, the low budget stuff, they've got a consumer grade and they've got a pro grade. Stay with the pro grade because you've got they've got what they call their brushless line, and really what's inside of there is the component motor. If the motor goes bad, you throw the whole motor away and you change it out. The fuel is an open type motor, and you can actually work on it. You can change out the rotor, the stator, whatever. But stay with the fuel if you can. I think those ones with the tracking, have you seen those where the GPS on them and stuff? I think those are.
I got that on my larger.
No, that's
I think those are a way. They call it a 1 key.
Yeah, the 1 key.
I've never bought one of those. I think
it's a gimmick, because the way it works, you think that you're going to track the thing with GPS. That's not really how it works, is it? It's if somebody is using it away from you and they've got the app and they've got GPS turned on and they've got the permissions on for it, the tool lets you know where it's at. But it is not GPS. You're not tracking it by GPS.
So you're not going to recover a stolen
No, you're not going to recover it. If somebody's devious enough to steal your $300 impact, they're not going to hook it up to the app.
People steal all kinds of stuff and you don't even think about it. I go walking out in the parking lot the other day, and there's an apprentice putting my ladders on top of his boss's truck. All my ladders are all stacked up on his ladder rack. And I go, "What are you doing?" I go, every one of those is my. He's got 4 of my ladders up on his truck. I'm like, every single one of those is mine. And I don't know. People are just careless. They pick up the wrong stuff, and I don't know whether he was doing it intentionally or he's just a dummy and he couldn't read the word bar Z on the side of the ladder.
Don't even get me started on people that don't care about tools, man.
Yeah.
Everybody that doesn't buy their own tools or is held accountable for tools misuse it doesn't care. I mean, he doesn't give a crap about it. He doesn't care if it costs $300 or $3. He treats it the exact same, with no regard.
Yeah, that's the trouble.
I bought all brand new drill hog step bits for work. And I told the guys, I go, when you're piloting with it, it's got an 1/8 inch pilot. When you're piloting with it, you got to use it on high speed. As soon as you get up to 1/4 inch, I want you to reach up and turn it down to low speed for if you're cutting a bigger hole. Slow it down.
Yeah, just back up.
3 of my good step drills are nice cobalt step drills.
And nice and
burn on the high end because they keep it on high speed and just keep shoving it through.
That's
and
right.
we just got done with a 304 stainless job, and they killed my step drills on that job.
Yeah, see, the problem was it wasn't the drill bits and it wasn't anything else. It's the fact that you paid for them, not him. That's what made the difference. If he'd have paid for them, he'd have been careful.
Well, I mean, we didn't even get through the whole job. He comes down off the roof.
That's even worse.
We didn't even finish. He comes down off the roof and he just holds out the drill bit and he goes, "It broke."
Yeah,
like it was laying on the bench all by itself and it just broke. It broke. It's not, hey, I burned this up. It broke.
Oh, that just adds. How do they say? Insult to injury. It broke.
Yeah, isn't that great?
You should hear Chuck's story about the guy that was drilling backwards.
Well, I've witnessed that too. It's fun to watch for a little while, and then you can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Stupidity in general is like that, right? You can watch it, you can even laugh at it a little bit, and then you're just like, I don't know. Yeah. Do I smack them or do I tell them?
I've worked with some really stupid people before.
My dad used to say, Harold, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there's a good one. He used to say, he very clearly made the distinction between stupid and ignorant. He said, son, there is nothing wrong with an ignorant person. He says, an ignorant person, the word means that they don't know about that particular subject. He says, but it's only until you teach them about that subject that they're ignorant. Once you tell them something, once you give them some information on that subject, no longer ignorant. For the rest of his life, he's no longer ignorant on that subject. But then he would get real mad and say, but a stupid person, it doesn't matter how many times you tell that stupid person, he's going to be stupid for the rest of his life. So, yeah, a clear distinction between stupid and ignorant. You could tell an ignorant person something right away, he'll catch it. But a stupid person, man, you waste your whole day telling them.
Yeah, that's like that old saying, I may be fat, but you're stupid, and I can go on a diet.
I don't know. It's not working for me. I started with a 6-pack. Now I got a case. I'm working on a case and a half.
Okay.
That diet thing sounds kind of like that maintenance thing you guys were talking about. What is that?
Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway, I'll keep you guys informed of my electric lawnmower if it actually pans out. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, drill. Just choose a platform. Don't choose the entry. Very basic. Usually the entry level, very cheapest one, either Milwaukee or DeWalt or anything. It's not going to be really good. Harold, you probably don't need the industrial one, but just like you said, get the fuel from. If you get a Milwaukee, just get the fuel. If the surge stuff is a little bit spendier, but it's worth it if you're going to be using it a lot. If you're not going to use it a lot, well, hey, if there's a huge price difference and you're not going to use it a lot, maybe you don't need it.
Yeah, I've got. I bought this set. It's got a drill and a impact tool for in the Milwaukee thing. You'll come in a little bag. That impact tool is too strong for driving screws or anything like that. it'll twist the head off the screw before it gets started moving.
The fuel's got a speed setting on it.
Yeah, the fuel ones, they have different settings for.
This one doesn't have any kind of setting. It's either forwards or backwards.
No, it's got actually 4 speeds. It's got 1, 2, and 3. 2 is really weak. I mean, you could use it for putting in number 6s in wood, and it would stop.
Yeah, and some of them have an actual screw function. They actually call it the screw function.
I'm not fond of that function.
Really, I haven't used it. I don't have the one. I think it's supposed to be for roofing, right? For metal. I don't
know. It's very specific, and I haven't figured out exactly what they use it for. It's like it runs at full RPM, and as soon as it senses a little bit of impact, the motor goes into like 25% or something.
Yeah, it backs up.
I haven't found a good application for that tech screw setting, so we don't even use that. We're either on 2 or 3.
Yeah, I've been avoiding saying what I do for preventive maintenance because I've got a compressor in the garage that I owned for about 38 years before I changed the oil. So I'm too lazy. It's what it boils down to.
You're going to make me feel guilty about my old air compressor. I got to get out there and change that oil. They get neglected.
Yeah, I've got 2 air compressors actually. One that's horribly loud and one that's not. But the trouble is, the one that's not runs on 220, and when I'm running to my mill, I need the 220 for that. So, I never run the quiet one.
I got my eye on a little 5-horse variable speed Kaiser right now.
Well, those are nice.
Oh yeah.
Anything with 5 horse is going to be nice.
So anybody that uses the Makitas, the blue ones are the commercial version, and the white ones are the homeowner version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What happened to Makita Green? Remember the old Makita Green?
Well, I think it kind of turned into this color.
Is that green or blue?
This is it's kind of the teal color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I recommend, and what I've done, I just synchronize everything is the same brand, same type of battery. That way, no matter what I pick up, I can interchange batteries and so forth.
Right. I don't like mixing and matching either. I got on the Milwaukee campaign, and you know what? I took the ugly girl to the prom. I got to take her home.
Yeah. You mentioned the Makita Greens. I finally had to throw them all away. Those things talk about dead batteries.
I still got one, an old 7.2.
Yeah,
those long battery ones.
Yeah, I had a garage sale and just $5. Take them. They're gone.
Yeah.
Now those, Harold, will not strip a screw.
Yeah.
Even if you tried, you couldn't strip a screw.
Well, I can guarantee you, the one I've got, you could put a lag bolt right through a 4x4 with that sucker. It's all power.
Oh yeah.
And if you can't get your finger off the trigger fast enough, you're done. I don't hardly ever use it because of that. It'd be great though if you want to bust lug nuts off your car or something. I think you could handle that without any trouble at all. That little 1/4-inch adapter.
I was actually looking at. They got some nice little, ratchet, cordless ratchets now. They run about $80 to $100 depending on what brand, but those look like they'd be pretty handy.
Yeah, I use one of the ratchets.
With the pop rivet guns. They make them for the M12, but they don't make an M18 pop rivet gun. And I've resisted. I haven't even switched from M18 to M12. I got no M12 stuff at all because I don't want the extra chargers and batteries and all the stuff that goes with it. But
the chargers, the M18 charger will charge the M12s.
Some of them, not my old ones.
Yeah, you're right.
I got some of the old ones that are M18 only, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've got a couple of the universal chargers that'll do 12 or 18 both. But does anyone have any experience with the M12 pop rivet gun?
Nah, I don't have a pop rivet gun. I just got the basic tools. I got the ratchet, the sawzall, the drill, the screwdriver, the impact, and the lamp. But no pop rivet gun.
What you got there, Chuck?
Black & Decker? Can't see it.
So
You're muted.
this is that. It's what voltage are those? It takes a little tube battery. Those are remember I sent you those bits, Harold?
Yeah.
Chamfering bits. But I got to tell you, Lipton showed this on his channel using the chamfering tool.
Yeah.
I've got mine, this little unit sitting in like a holster on my bench. And I can't tell you how much you drill something, you reach over and you grab that and chamfer the hole. It's sweet, but you got to buy a good bit. I don't know unless you got those sharpened, Harold, but
I sharpened above them. They'll eat anything now.
Really handy though.
Yeah.
What brand is that drill, Chuck?
It's a Black & Decker. It's an old guy. You know, it's the one that's got the it's about a 3/4 inch diameter, 4-inch long battery that goes into it.
Okay.
Yeah. But this little guy, and if this one folds, it folds like a pistol, or you can keep it straight. But I mean, I love the thing. One of my most used tools.
I had one of those. I don't know what happened to it. It's gone.
In my opinion,
that was like that folded.
In my opinion, it was junk until I put this chamfering tool in it. Now I love the damn thing.
I like electric screwdrivers because your wrist gets so tired. You know, if you got like 10 or 20 screws to do, by the time you get through with that, you got a blister in the palm of your hand. And I really love electric screwdrivers.
DeWalt used to have, they don't even make them anymore. They used to have what they called a kinetic screwdriver. And it was just a cordless screwdriver, just a round body. And you just kind of flick it with your wrist and it would forward, and flick it with your wrist the other way and it would reverse. It was the greatest little electric screwdriver, and they quit making it. I had one, and I was on the DeWalt campaign for many years, and finally their lack of selection of tools drove me away, and I got away from them when they went back then 14.4 was their biggest battery. Now they're up to 28, whatever. So my DeWalt 14.4s were the last of my DeWalts. That's when I made the switch to Milwaukee.
The DeWalts are heavy too. They weigh a ton.
Yeah, they look pretty bulky.
The DeWalt 20s, 20 volts. I've been happy with mine.
Yeah.
I bought that Weehaw. I bought a little Weehaw German-made electric screwdriver. It's torque sensitive and all that. If you're doing a lot of electrical connections, it'll kill your wrist. If you do that for 4 hours straight, your wrist is just killing you. So that little electric screwdriver is nice. You got to get used to it and train your hand to use it, but it's a good little tool.
Yeah, I've got a little electric screwdriver. I've got it right here close to me.
Somebody said that they've got the rivet gun in the comments.
Yeah, I saw that. Thanks for chiming in there.
Ryobi. I use this thing for all kind of stuff, and it's really great. Perfect.
Oh, that's a pistol grip. Mine's just a round. It's just literally a screwdriver.
Yeah.
You got a pistol grip.
Yeah. I take all kind of stuff apart with it, put it back together, and I do my clothes dryer about once a year. It seems like the little rollers in it go all the heck about once a year, and it sure makes taking it down quick and easy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When I use quite a few clutch settings on it, and I don't even get to the highest, and it does plenty of work. Plus, you can break stuff without hitting the trigger. You break some if it's really tight, you break it, and then you can just trigger it down. And I really like the clutch setting because since I work a lot on cars, the interior, if you just drive it with a regular drill rather than the electric screwdriver, well, you'll just go through the plastic or through those little U-clips they call them, or J-clips, whatever they call them. So I just use setting. I think it's 13 on mine, and it has like 20. I really like it. It's one of the things I use the most in the M12 line is the electric screwdriver. It looks just like a drill, but it's a lot less torquey. No, not as much speed. Nothing like that.
How about you, John? What kind of electric screwdrivers or drills you use?
Well, I kind of jumped ship a few years ago. I used Ryobi for a long time. Again, I'm the homeowner, just a casual user. But I use Ryobi, and I jumped ship about 3 or 4 years ago, and I went with Cobalt. and which I thought was a better deal than the Roby. In fact, I still do. I used Roby for years. Cobalt won me over. Then all of a sudden, Lowe's couldn't figure out what they wanted to do. So now they're selling everything under the sun. I'm afraid Cobalt's going to go by the wayside. But I've got to tell you, I've just had it for my use, and I use it pretty regular. It's once a day, or I mean, we're building stuff around the house here all the time. My wife and I are, and we both use that screwdriver. And for my use, again, not being any professional at all. Man, that Roby is hard to beat. It's got the metal chucks on it. The batteries are really inexpensive, and I like I say, I used Roby for years and went over to that. But again, I don't have a shop where I'm making money with my tools every day. But I have come to the conclusion it's easier to get somebody to change religion than it is to change battery power tools.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Trust me though, there's no fanboys here because we would have heard a lot more if we had a fanboy. Man, you can get into an argument that'll destroy a friendship over brands if you get a fanboy involved.
I guarantee you can.
Yeah, when computers was coming out and they had bulletin boards, I used to be one of those trolls. And you could always say something bad about Apple, and they would burn the place down for about 3 days.
Chuck?
Where's that grinder
That's
at,
the
Chuck?
same surface grinder
Hey,
I
Chuck.
got. Exactly.
How close is that to you?
Not close enough. I didn't get it.
Was it already sold?
Yeah, it was. Nevada is just across the Golden Gate, so it's hour 15 for me. But it says
all I want is the motor.
H12 surface grinder state sale. Been sitting in a residential home shop. Does not work. It's in my truck with a lift gate. I just need to push it into somebody's truck. I tried. I didn't get it.
all I need is the motor.
I know. $150.
For $150, that's even good for the motor.
I know.
If the spindle's good,
Yeah.
heck, take the spindle too.
Yeah. Oh, look at the bag chuck. I mean, electric chuck.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can. The Boyer stuff is really universal.
Yeah. Did you see? I don't know if you watched Dudley Toolwright.
Yep.
He picked up a Suburban Tool mag.
Yeah, I started to put it back together.
Yeah, he put it back together and it works fine. And they actually got it. The guy comped him back. He said he was going to give him some money, but
yeah,
what a buy.
So you're saying that surface grinder is already gone?
It's gone. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I figured you wouldn't be showing us if either you didn't get it or it was gone. One of the two.
I missed
There's no way you would have showed that to us.
Then I could have said I had 3.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving me a tip on that, Chuck.
I saw what looked like a really good deal. A guy forwarded me an ad from Facebook Marketplace, and there's I think it was like a 13-inch lathe or something like that for $1,000, and had all kind of tools and stuff. And I was just about to get involved in it when I blew the picture up, and it was Harbor Freight.
Oh.
I wouldn't give you $100 for it once I saw that.
Yeah, I did a parting job this morning. This is the material I had to part.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
How can you? I could part that with a pocket knife.
It looks just like it.
Well, there's my parting tool right there.
Nice.
There you go.
It's just a razor knife. I had to cut 1/2-inch slabs of this stuff, and it worked like a charm. I'm already done.
I was going to say you should have grabbed the wife's pruning shears.
What's that?
I would have just grabbed the wife's pruning shears.
You're a PVC cutter.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how clean it would cut. It parted off beautifully. I put a little WD-40 or actually power lube on the blade, and it got real slippery as it made the cut. And
Which lathe?
What is it? Through it quick.
What is it called?
7/8 OD. The hardest thing I had was putting it in the collet, and it's rubbery. So I'm trying to get it, and I'm trying to pull it out, cut, pull out, cut, pull out, and it was just sticking in the collet. It's so rubbery. There's no way that thing was going to slip in the collet.
What's it called again?
We got about
What's the material called?
I don't know. I got it from McMaster. It was some. It's like a 40 hardness, real low. It's like an EDPM rubber something or other. I don't remember.
What
EPDM
label
or Buna?
Dan?
What's that?
Which label
EPDM
do
or
you?
Buna?
I'm sorry.
It's not Boonean. It was a silicone based product. We're using it inside bulkhead fittings. After we slab them off, you drill a hole in the center and slice the side. You can put it around a Cat 5 cable, put it in a bulkhead fitting, tighten it up, and everything crushes down and creates a waterproof seal.
Okay, guys, this is the end of our hour, and I want to tell the people viewing that we're going to take a couple of weeks off of this and let everybody go roast wieners on the beach and stuff like that, and then we'll come back probably with brand new stuff and more really neat guests and such. And I want to thank Tinker John for showing up today and help us out. Maybe he'll come back if we haven't offended him too much.
Nice meeting you,
Well,
John.
thank you, Harold. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. I enjoyed it.
Nice meeting you, sir.
Thanks, everybody. Bye now.
All right, thank you.
See you
Everyone
guys
have a
later.
great rest of